Love handles are deposits of fat found right above the hips that give you a soft appearance, and unfortunately, they're extremely difficult to get rid of for many people. Men especially struggle with this stubborn area because it's one of the first spots that we tend to pack on the fat while also being one of the last spots to release it. And one of the worst things you can do if you want to burn this stubborn fat is a crash diet, because diets that require you to heavily restrict typically lead to yo-yo dieting, where within a relatively short time frame you give up and regain all the weight. This usually leads to your love handle problem only getting worse. So instead, I want to give you guys 11 simple things that you can start doing today to help reduce the size of your love handles naturally without feeling like you're starving yourself. And the very first thing that you'll definitely want to do to make fat loss way easier is eat a diet full of foods that have a high thermic effect. I think we all know that cutting calories can feel difficult, but burning more calories just by prioritizing certain foods is much easier, and it could really contribute quite a bit to your total calorie deficit, leading to more fat loss without having to put a whole ton of effort in. The thermic effect of food is essentially the energy that your body requires to break down, digest, and assimilate the nutrients from the food that you eat. So to put it simply, some foods cost more calories to break down than others, which is a very good thing for fat loss. In general, carbohydrates and fats will only require about 5 to 15% of the calories you take in to digest those macronutrients. However, protein requires 20 to 35% of the calories you take in to digest and process it. This is why you want to make sure that you're eating at least 0.73 to 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight every day, since it's not only very satiating and great for helping you build muscle, but it also provides a lot less net calories than other macronutrients. Now, besides eating enough protein, whole natural single ingredient foods tend to have a higher thermic effect than their processed counterparts. And this is especially true with vegetables, which almost cost as many calories to digest as the amount of calories that they actually provide. On the other hand, something like sugar has one of the lowest thermic effects, which is why our second tip is to reduce your sugar intake. Not only is sugar very high in calories for the amount of volume that it'll fill up in your stomach, but eating too much sugar is also specifically linked to central obesity, which is essentially storing more fat specifically around your stomach and love handle area. Another problem with a diet that's high in sugar is that it increases circulating insulin levels while decreasing insulin sensitivity, which causes your body to store more fat and makes it much harder to burn previously stored fat. On top of that, eating too much sugar regularly will stimulate your brain in a way that causes you to crave more sugar. It also desensitizes your palate, so when you eat naturally sweet tasting fruits, it simply doesn't compare to the stimulation that you get from all the added sugar and the high fructose corn syrup in your diet. So not only is sugar very calorie dense, but it also makes you crave more of it, and it makes it harder to find enjoyment from the healthy natural food sources that would actually help you lose the love handles. So to reduce sugar in your diet, you want to do the obvious things like eliminate sodas and other sweetened beverages and stick to water instead. But you'll also want to eliminate sugar from the not so obvious sources, like many processed foods that contain added sugars, artificial ingredients, flavor enhancers, and high fructose corn syrup. So if you buy anything processed that's in a box or has a really long shelf life, make sure you always check the nutrition label and the ingredients used to limit your daily intake of sugar. Now, besides sugar, you'll also want to cut out refined carbohydrates. I'm not one to eliminate carbs completely. In fact, many of my clients have been very successful even eating a higher carb diet. But these refined carbs are very quickly converted to sugar right after you eat them. When the grains are refined, they're stripped of all the bran, fiber, and the nutrients. Not only does this reduce the thermic effect of these carbs, but it also speeds up the rate of digestion, so it's not long before you're hungry once again. On top of that, many refined carbohydrates also have additional added sugar. A couple examples include white bread, dough, pasta, pastries, white flour, sweets, and most breakfast cereals. It's not that you can never eat these foods, but you want to do your best to limit them in your diet and stick mostly to whole natural sources of carbohydrates, like, for example, sweet potatoes, brown rice, buckwheat, and barley. Next, you'll want to make sure that you're eating enough soluble fiber, because these foods really help fill you up and help you feel full for longer. Foods that help you stay full help reduce your calorie intake naturally without having to feel like you're starving yourself. A couple examples of foods high in soluble fiber include Brussels sprouts, beans, broccoli, and some grains like barley and oats. Eating more of these high fiber foods has been shown to help lead to fat loss in many studies. In fact, one study showed that by increasing the amount of soluble fiber that participants ate by just 10 grams per day over the course of 5 years led on average to a 3.7% reduction of their visceral fat, which is the fat stored around their midsection. Now, to reduce hunger and optimize your hormones, you'll also want to include more healthy sources of fat in your diet. Fat slows the digestion process, helping you stay full for longer. The other thing about fat is that it simply tastes good, so it helps make your diet more enjoyable, and when you enjoy your meals, you're more likely to actually stick to them. Aside from the benefits of consuming enough healthy sources of fat, if you're not getting enough fat in your diet, you'll actually negatively affect many vital hormones for fat loss. So make sure that at least 20 to 35% of your daily calorie intake is coming from healthy sources of fat like avocados, olive oil, nuts, eggs, and fatty fish. The next thing you'll want to do is lift weights. Now, a lot of people make the mistake of trying to lose their love handles by targeting them with oblique building exercises. However, simply doing tons of abdominal work won't help you get rid of your love handles because it doesn't burn all that many calories and it simply builds muscle underneath the fat. Instead, you want to focus on weight training exercises that build the most muscle and burn the most amount of calories. Exercises like deadlifts, squats, pull-up, bench presses, rows, and cleans are all very good at doing just that. By performing these exercises with heavy weight, you'll burn a lot of calories during your workout and afterwards during the recovery process because all of those broken down muscles will need to use calories to repair themselves. On top of that, you'll boost your metabolic rate at rest by building more muscle over time. Many of you that feel stuck and can't lose any more fat even though your calories are already pretty low would be better off focusing on lifting heavy and building muscle because that'll help you burn fat without having to drop your calories so incredibly low. Another thing you can do to help burn fat faster is to incorporate 15 minutes of high intensity interval training directly after your weight training workouts. Weight training predominantly requires carbs for energy, so by the end of your 45-minute or hour-long weight training session, your glycogen or your carbohydrate stores will be depleted. By performing a 15-minute high-intensity interval training session directly after your weight training session, your body will be forced to burn the fat to provide the energy needed for the workout since it's already burned through the carbohydrates with the weight training. I recommend grouping together exercises that work your whole body and get you breathing really heavy, things like burpees, squat jumps, medicine ball slams, and mountain climbers. Then you would do each exercise that you end up choosing and you would go as hard as you can for 15 to 60 seconds, then walk it off for 15 to 60 seconds and repeat over and over until your 15 minutes are up. Now, even though this can help you burn a lot of calories, there's no point of working harder than you have to. So only add one HIIT session per week at a time and try to save adding these sessions for when you start to plateau. This way you always have something in your back pocket to break through and continue burning fat. Next, you want to ensure that you're getting enough sleep. Not getting enough sleep has a very negative effect on your testosterone to cortisol ratio, which leads to less fat loss and less muscle growth. Hormonal changes can highly contribute to the problem of excess fat being stored around your love handles and belly area. And one of the simplest ways to avoid many of these negative changes is by getting enough sleep. You want to do your best to get anywhere from 6 to 8 hours of sleep per night to help your body burn fat. Some studies have shown that people that sleep fewer than 5 hours per night tend to weigh more and have more belly fat than people that sleep for 6 to 7 hours per night. And there are many other studies that confirm that sleep deprivation is absolutely terrible for fat loss. Now, you'll also want to reduce your alcohol consumption, especially if you drink a lot at once or you drink often. Fat is processed by the same organ that processes alcohol, your liver. And when you drink alcohol, your body stops burning fat to prioritize breaking down and clearing out the alcohol. Alcohol is also technically its own macronutrient, adding 7 calories for every gram of alcohol consumed. On top of that, many drinks have added sugars. For example, wine and beer are full of additional calories on top of the calories from the alcohol itself. And wine and beer are the go-to for people that drink often. Even though there is some evidence to suggest that having 1 or 2 glasses of wine a day can help reduce the chances of developing cardiovascular issues, having 1 or 2 glasses of wine every day will definitely not reduce your chances of developing love handles. So if you do drink, try to stick to hard, clear liquors that don't have additional flavors and additional calories. And also, if you can't control the amount of food and the type of food that you eat when you do drink, then you may be better off not drinking, because you can easily consume 1,000 extra calories in one drunk binge eating session if you're not careful. Another very simple way to reduce your love handles is by eating vegetables with every one of your meals and by prioritizing the vegetables and the protein sources on your plate. Vegetables are not only low in calories, but they also take up a lot of space in your stomach. This helps satisfy your hunger, it keeps you full for longer, and it prevents you from overeating naturally. If you simply incorporate vegetables in every meal and you always make sure to eat all the vegetables and protein on your plate, you'll be way less likely to overeat. Finally, the last and one of my favorite ways to burn fat is with intermittent fasting. Now, there are many types of fasting protocols that you could try, like Eat Stop Eat, the Warrior Method, the 16-8 Method, the 5-2 Diet, and OMAD, just to name a few. Depending on which one of these you choose, you could be fasting for either 16 hours, 20 hours, 23 hours, or even longer. And just by not eating anything at all during your fasting window, you'll most likely reduce the amount of calories that you take in on a daily basis. You'll also still be able to have larger, more filling and satiating meals, since you'll be eating fewer total meals per day, which will allow you to eat more during each of those meals. Fasting can also be used to help fit cheat days into your plan without going overboard on the total amount that you eat throughout the week. Even though fasting may sound difficult and complicated to set up, I promise you it's not, and I have a video specifically on how to set up your own intermittent fasting plan from scratch that I'll link up somewhere on the screen right now, and it'll be in the description below. That video will help you create your own intermittent fasting plan that'll help you burn away those love handles, and it's totally free. So there you have it. Those are the 11 simple ways that you can use to start reducing the size of your love handles right away. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, make sure you subscribe to the channel and that you hit that bell icon. Also, if you're looking for a done-for-you workout plan that can be done at home or in a gym, and also includes a customizable meal plan that will be based around your preferences, whether that be intermittent fasting, carb cycling, 1 meal a day, keto, or vegan, to name a few, then click the link below in the description to head on over to my website. Between the 3 gyms we have in New Jersey and the online training, we've put thousands of people through these programs, and my clients that follow the plan are losing at least 20 pounds or 5% of their body fat in only 6 short weeks. To learn more, click the link below, or you could visit my website directly at gravitytransformation.com. I'll see you guys soon.